and Mark Wunderlich. Third playoff meeting between these two teams. You may focus on LeBron in his series. You may want to watch Shaq. The Clippers and Phoenix will be good. This will be the best second-round series in these playoffs. Only the third time ever two 60-win teams have met in the second round. It begins with a Ginobili miss, rebounded by Josh Howard.
A real barometer, Ginobili. Can he play the tremendous leadership role that we've come to expect, but don't always see?
Tight defense by Howard. Was it touched by a Mav? Yes, it was. So we'll stay down here with San Antonio. We were with you on ESPN Friday night in Sacramento as the Spurs closed out their series in 6. They chose to spend Friday night in Sacramento. Came back to San Antonio yesterday afternoon, and Greg Popovich has been very vocal about his displeasure that as defending champs they have to play on the tightest turnaround, essentially starting 36 hours after the buzzer for Game 6 in Sac.
Well, let's remember this. All of the great teams have played under all kinds of conditions, and they have prevailed. So if San Antonio can prevail, they'll do it.
3 for Ori, playing his 205th postseason game. Only Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Scottie Pippen have played more. Terry's response is turned away.
Don't ever think for a minute that these games are staged for the players.
Parker all the way. First 5 for the Spurs. And Avery Johnson will get right up and call a quick timeout. Timeout. Good defense by the Spurs. Adrian Griffin has it for Dallas.
Matchups intriguing here. How long can Avery Johnson go with Adrian Griffin, who's not looking to score a lot of points?
Went off the window there, and the offensive foul is called. Bruce Bowen looks to the lip to see if he was bloodied by the contact.
Dirk Nowitzki throwing Bruce Bowen to the ground, trying to establish offensive rebound position.
You know, it's a little early to be as concerned as Avery Johnson seems to be. 5 points, you call a timeout.
Ill-advised timeout. Way too early for that.
Well, Howard comes all the way, bumps with Bowen, and draws free throws. Guys, I did the last game. Those were with me. 82nd game of the year. Dallas has
your potted plant.
Well, somehow your presence is forgotten quickly. But remember, they fell behind the Clippers in a completely meaningless game, 5-0, and the coach of the year, less than a minute in, called timeout. He is a basketball control freak. He controlled the tempo for those championship Spurs, and really his will, his mind to the small things has meant so much in this Mavericks team that has a great record as usual, but has a different tenor and touch about them.
His impact is undeniable, but you have to think big picture and breathe confidence into your players that they can get the job done. It's not going to be about what happens on the sideline. It's in between the baskets.
The foul was on Bruce Bowen, his first. Dallas on the board here in Game 1 of this Western Conference semifinal series.
You know, the real key is to make Tony Parker shoot jump shots. They get a steal on that slick pass that didn't get to Tim Duncan.
Jason Terry, he's got his work cut out for him.
Manu came over, and the foul was called on the Spurs guard. And let's check in with Mark Jones.
Guys, Avery Johnson and Greg Popovich, the two respective head coaches, remain very close despite the fact that they are competitors in this series. Avery telling me that, hey, I wouldn't be in a position that I'm in right now, the reigning coach of the year, were it not for Pop showing confidence in me as a player back in 1992, prolonging my career. Popovich says that Avery Johnson has changed the culture of Dallas with his relentlessness and his consistency. But, guys, the ultimate acid test is this series today.
Guys, Mark actually reported on GMC NBA Nation. They spoke by phone yesterday. No chance to visit, as Pop said. It would have been a sideshow if the two of us were out for dinner. And Pop trying to get the Spurs prepared on this short turnaround. After the Ori miss, here come the Mavs, trailing by 3. Ginobili has been very good defensively in the first 3 minutes. Terry takes the 3. Manu slaps it alive. Parker has no company.
An indication of how important Manu Ginobili is to the Spurs in this series. David Robinson the legend, is wearing a Manu Ginobili jersey today.
Duncan all the way, denied at the rim, but he was hit on the head by Sagana Diop. The very little scoring center picks up his first personal foul.
There is some connection between David and Manu that we don't know about, that you know about, other than the jersey.
David Robinson in attendance, the future Hall of Famer, the anchor of the first 2 championships for the Spurs.
Let me just say, I have an issue usually with grown men wearing jerseys of somebody else. Guys who are going to get their number retired here and wear somebody else's name on their back, with all due respect, that's a concern. That's a concern.
I have no concerns with David Robinson. A man who had 17 rebounds in his final game in this building.
So Duncan gets his first, and this is part of his Achilles heel, not only playing before noon, but free throws, and he dropped 2. So this may be his breakout party.
Not too bad shooting free throws in the last series, Steve. 28 of 41, better than he was percentage-wise in the regular season. San Antonio leads by 5. The Mavs just 2 points, 0 of 4 from the field in the first 3:15.
Well, right now the Mavericks doing a lot of dribbling, but not a lot of passing and cutting. Howard gets that to drop.
This is the man who a lot of people think will be the key to this series, Josh Howard. How he will be able to deliver in the biggest opportunity and stage of his life.
Duncan down the lane.
That's an offensive foul.
It will be called against Sagana Diop and will be his second personal foul. And immediately we will see Eric Dampier check in for the Mavericks.
Tim Duncan appeared to clear out Sagana Diop with that left arm.
You've been arguing all year long that you don't need glasses, but it appears that you may. Because Duncan is shooting free throws.
Obviously, the referees had a much better angle than our courtside position here.
One more for Tim. Here's another look.
The help defense. Sagana Diop is going backwards in the left-handed clear out.
Yeah, the left-handed clear out. His hand was down on his waist.
I thought Duncan was the one who struggled with early starts. So Diop's on the bench with 2, and they bring in Eric Dampier, who essentially plays starter minutes, although coming off the bench he's been more effective. After making his first 2, Duncan misses these 2.
Jason Terry said he was going to be aggressive. He was going to attack. So let's see if he can get himself going at the offensive end.
A miss by the shoot first, pass second point guard. And back from San Antonio with their own push.
San Antonio appears to be the fresher team. Quicker to the ball. Will they be able to sustain that as this interminable game? Oh, great block shot.
Dampier comes over and gets it. He had 2.5 blocks per game in the series against Memphis.
If anybody needs to step up and show that they can deliver in the biggest game, it's Dampier. Last year against Phoenix, he was tortured by Amari Stoudemire.
Oh, Josh Howard put Ginobili on the seat of his pants. Josh Howard has all the Dallas points.
I think it's Dirk Nowitzki that needs to show the biggest steps forward.
Parker cuts inside. That shot was altered by the presence of Dampier. Horry takes it away to Duncan. And 1. So Tim Duncan has drawn 3 fouls on the 2-headed center monster for the Mavs in the first 4.5 of the first.
And none of the plays have been go-to opportunities for him. It's all scramble. It's all creativity by others. Robert Horry with the strong, quick hands initially, and then the quick throw-up there by Tim Duncan, and another trip to the line. Again, Dallas Mavericks centers standing there stationary with their arms in the air, drawing their 3rd foul of the game combined.
Duncan comes to the line for his 5th free throw. Devin Harris, the second-year point guard out of Wisconsin, has come into the lineup. Jason Terry off to the bench.
3-point play for Duncan, who is in this ball game. He's got 5 points early. So the test for the centers, and Avery Johnson said our 5s are going to have to play well against Duncan, is on.
And he said the key to the series when we talked to him this morning are 2 guys at the point, Terry and Harris, and our 2-headed center monster. The center monster has not been a monster. Dirk over Bowen. So Dirk Nowitzki, after missing his first 2, makes his first field goal. He has such a great ability with that 7-foot height to have that unblockable shot when guarded by someone like Bowen.
He's capable of hitting 5, 6 shots in a row, and what he needs is 1 to go in. Duncan
You can always see he's lined up. He loves to take a shot off glass from that left area in the first quarter, and he usually hits it.
And what makes him the best and the two-time MVP, the three-time final MVP, is that his decision-making. Now Bowen's second foul here. Bowen just has to play position defense. He's not going to be able to alter the shot of Dirk Nowitzki.
He was playing position defense. He thought he had made a good play. His coach thinks he made a good play, but when that elbow goes out and you get any contact at all, the call is going in favor of Dirk Nowitzki. Bowen upset.
And to the bench with two, Rajo Nesterovic checks in. Dirk Nowitzki's such a hard guard because of his ability from that area, as you know. Bowen does a good job getting up, just kind of making that space right beneath him uncomfortable. As Dirk, a very good free throw shooter, misses his first. And he's done a great job on him in the past when the Spurs have had success against Dallas.
Stackhouse peels off his stuff. He's getting ready to get into the ball game.
The challenge for Dirk is to be the best player in a game where his team is not the favorite. It's one thing to beat Memphis. It's one thing to beat lower-level teams. But you're coming in, the other team now has the home court advantage. The other team has Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, and now you got to come in and say, hey, this is mine.
It's going to be a little confusing. Rajo Nesterovic checked in at the dead ball. Now the Spurs are trying to check him back out.
You can't do that.
Not going to be able to pull that off, so Rajo's going to have to stay in at least
one play
for a couple of seconds. You talk about Dirk Nowitzki.
He'll be in there for the free throw.
Talk about the performance of Dirk Nowitzki, of course, so long attached with his very good friend Steve Nash. Dirk telling me before the game that he did send and trade text messages with Steve over the Suns winning Game 7 last night. They've been doing that throughout the playoffs and could see each other in the Western Finals as they did in this round, the Western Semis, last year when Phoenix won.
What they did there was they substituted Brent Barry for Tim Duncan. They tried to substitute initially for Rajo Nesterovic, but that was illegal, so now Duncan ready to come right back in on the next dead ball.
Michael Finley came in at that dead ball as well, so he and Brent Barry are in. Ginobili shoots a three. It's off. The Spurs, the second-best three-point shooting team in the NBA. That is a huge part of San Antonio's success recipe this year.
43% now.
Howard will come to the line.
The wild card is wild here early, and they have tried a couple of combinations on Josh Howard, but he's been able to do almost whatever he wanted, so he has a chance to get a pair of free throws and tighten his game up. The Spurs got a three-point advantage. So if Dallas is going to win this series, they're going to do it because of their depth and their effectiveness behind Dirk Nowitzki. They have two players at each position that can create problems for the San Antonio Spurs.
One more for Josh Howard, a player that San Antonio had hoped to select at the end of the first round in 2003. Dallas took him at spot number 29, and he has blossomed. You saw his point production improving. Played at Wake Forest, first-team All-American as a senior, unanimous Player of the Year in the ACC. One of those four-year players who came to a good team, ready to contribute, and he has grown to become perhaps the key other guy for the Mavericks in this series.
First All-ACC performer unanimous since David Thompson in 75. Blocked by Dampier again.
His second one, first time we saw Nowitzki and Duncan head-to-head on that end of the floor.
They switch it, and that really allowed him to get in and make the block Dampier.
Now Finley has Dirk on this trip. Duncan for the help. Dirk the deuce.
Finley was watching, Mike. He didn't have him. He was watching.
Parker will bring it up to the front court and take a timeout, as they were 2 years ago.
Well, the one thing is their attitude about the defense. They try. They have a team concept. It's Finley stuff.
Finley the three over the zone, puts San Antonio back on top.
The defense for the Mavericks puts them in position to win at the end, but somebody's got to make and take that big shot up against a dug-in great defense like the Spurs or Detroit has.
Stackhouse to miss. That's the guy who is more willing and very comfortable with that leadership role now. I should say comfortable, not very comfortable. Dirk Nowitzki is not the most boisterous leader, but that's been a big part of what Avery Johnson has done this year, in addition to the basketball. I think Dirk's in a better position to do that now. No basket for Parker, a pre-shot foul on Devin Harris.
But Dirk Nowitzki, in 5 postseason games previously to this series against San Antonio, he's averaged 26-plus points per game, which is the second highest ever among active players against the reigning world champion Spurs.
So you make the point to say that he's going to have a big, big game this afternoon.
He better, if they want to win.
One more for Tony Parker. Let's set the table here for the start of round 2. TNT will have the opener of the Nets Heat Clippers Suns series. And, of course, we'll have the Pistons and the Cavaliers on ABC next, starting that series. And on Friday night on ESPN, we'll have Game 3s from New Jersey and Los Angeles of those best-of-7 conference semifinals. For all the excitement in those opening round series, the 4 overtime games, 14 road wins, the 4 6-game series, 1 7-game series. We only had one upset with the 6 beating the 3, and really we know the Clippers had a better record than the Nuggets. Stackhouse knocked it down.
Home court has prevailed. So I don't want to hear anything about regular season not being important.
Every game counts, as somebody once said. All tied at 17, 8 minutes into the first quarter. Duncan working on Dampier, got it, and got a second foul on Dampier. So both of the Mavericks bigs have 2, and Duncan comes to the line for point 10.
Well, Duncan is killing this myth that he doesn't play well in early games. He has come to play early, and he's drawing fouls on the center. This is a typical Tim Duncan effort. Watch his hands go underneath the arms of Dampier, and then the shot goes up.
Once again, the centers for Dallas playing perfect position with their arms in a great vertical situation. Tim Duncan, a parade to the free throw line, the only Spur who has taken a free throw attempt.
Spurs pick up full court here. Dampier's on the bench with 2. He brought back Jop, the starting center. Do you like that?
I'd rather see him just go small and play with complete basketball players.
Well, there's Jop inside for the hoop. Sagana Jop, who was a lottery pick for the Cleveland Cavaliers, he only scored 190 points in 1,500 minutes this year. He doesn't exactly look for the offensive end.
They don't look for him. What he does is block shots and rebound the ball and give him an extra center and push off against Robert Horry, so Dirk Nowitzki and the Mavs will get possession of the ball. Penalty. And Dirk will walk to the line.
Loose ball fouls. Dirk will get the free throws. It's a Dallas team, as we mentioned, that swept the Memphis Grizzlies, a franchise still looking for its first playoff win. They are 0 for 12. They beat Memphis by 10 and 15 in Dallas, then 5 and 26 in Tennessee. It's the first time in Mavericks history that a franchise had a 7-game sweep in a series.
A statistical analysis of history since the first round has gone to 7 games show that under this scenario with days rest, that Dallas is a prohibitive favorite in this game today.
I can't believe that you're going to go with that, because it always comes down to accepting the challenge of the big moment. San Antonio knows they got to win this game. They can't give up the home court advantage.
I'm just reporting the factual numbers.
Tony Parker with the hoop. He has 6 points. Spurs back on top by 1. Devin Harris got faked out of his underwear on that last move, but a response on the other end from Stack.
Stackhouse is on today, so that is a weapon that Avery Johnson is going to be happy to be throwing back at San Antonio.
I like what Avery Johnson is doing in the backcourt defensively against Parker. Meet him in the backcourt, put some pressure on him. Unlike Sacramento, who just waited for him at their own defensive free throw line, and then he only had to beat him by 3 feet.
Well, yeah, but you got to have guys that can go down and put pressure. Devin Harris can do it, as well as Jason Kidd.
Josh Howard almost hit the circus layup.
Season long, and that's one of the things that Avery Johnson tried to prepare them for. Avery Johnson was on a team himself called the San Antonio Spurs that historically were considered soft. They couldn't win. They couldn't break through. And you keep that label until you break through. And that's what he's told his team. We're always going to be a soft team until we win the big game.
And that San Antonio team broke through, winning the 99 championship against the Knicks. And then in that strike-shortened season, people still had questions, but so good in 2003 when they won it. And they finally got over their hump, which was the Lakers, and winning the championship in 7 over the Pistons last year.
Well, everybody credits Avery Johnson for the change in attitude. How about Mark Cuban's relentless pursuit of nothing short of perfection?
Tony Parker is fouled. It is a 25-22 Dallas lead. 2:08 left here in the first. And DJ Benga, who is the third in the center rotation, really at the back end of the rotation, seeing minutes in the first because of the foul trouble with Dampier and Jock.
All right, Bill, a question for you. What has Cuban done differently this year than he has done in past years when you heard Mike say they've won essentially 2 out of 3 games in his era?
I don't think that he has changed. I think that he is just constantly and relentlessly pushing everybody on this franchise until he gets what he wants, which is the championship. He's not happy with just making it to the second round. He's not happy with having sellout crowds every single night. He wants that ultimate prize.
Mavs 25, Spurs 2:24, 2 minutes left here in the first quarter of Game 1. Nowitzki on the bench for the Mavericks. Duncan down for the Spurs for the moment. Stackhouse over Finley. Finley, of course, very familiar with what's going on with the guys in blue. He has the second most playoff games played by a Maverick. Now a Spur after he was allowed to be released in the amnesty after the new collective bargaining agreement this past offseason.
Whoa. They're still paying his salary.
Yes. It's pretty good, by the way.
$18 million a year.
And one of the top 10 in the league. 8 to shoot as it deflected off the shot clock, thus was out of bounds.
San Antonio has been noted for their defense, but they have given up a high percentage to Dallas here in the first quarter of play. Dallas is shooting over 50% with a minute 29 to go in the quarter.
8 of 15, Steve, after missing their first 4. Stackhouse, you called it, Steve. Stack is one of those guys who has to go inside and outside for his game, but when he gets hot, boy, he can score them in bunches.
Where's Manu Ginobili?
In the corner down here.
I understand that.
Oh, okay.
He's on the court.
Oh, I see.
But he needs to start playing basketball.
Park's going to miss. Devin Harris the rebound. That time he was guarded by Jason Terry. Now Manu picks up Harris. He gets a shot in the chops from Howard. Stack again. Nice touch by Ginobili. Who doesn't believe it. Looks to Danny Crawford for help. Who says nope. Greg Willard had that just fine. Full shot clock. Terry the miss, Benga the rebound over the back. Ever since that foul that was called on Bruce Bowen that Greg Popovich vehemently complained about, even during that following timeout dialogue with the officials, the Spurs have been on the backs of the refs here a bit, and the fans have joined in as well.
The Spurs offense is not free-flowing right now. What we saw Friday night in Sacramento, where they were just moving the ball, knocking down threes, give and goes, that's not happening right now. Give some credit to Avery Johnson and the Maverick defense.
Marquise Daniels in the ball game, so they have lookalikes and bookend type players, and Howard and Daniels out on the floor. And Daniels has to give them something in this series. He's a versatile player, can play a couple of positions and can score. We'll find out whether he gets the scoring. He was at this just to make it pretty good.
Manu Ginobili for his first points of the game in a critically important NBA playoff game.
It is the winner of Game 1 in the best-of-7 era, wins 4 of every 5 playoff series. And there is Josh Howard, who can score in so many ways. He has 12 to lead all scorers. Howard and Nowitzki have 21 of the Mavs' 29. Couple of seconds different. Game and shot clock back into the opening quarter.
And that was a major concern as Howard challenges Ginobili.
And Ginobili turned it over, nearly gave the foul. Daniels, Terry. Rebound Mustarovic, 4 to shoot. Finley just looked at the clock. Brent Barry, 3 at the buzzer. Did you like that?
Would be closer. And he got 57, which makes it a landslide.
You're right, Steve, because on the ballot you had to fill in 5 spots. Nowitzki misses, and there's one of the other 10 men in addition to Nash to win back-to-back MVPs, or multiple MVPs, I should say. Tim Duncan, who did win it back-to-back, 02 and 03.
The amazing thing about Steve is how completely different his game is from any other player in the entire league.
Duncan the hoop, 29-28. Did you guys think that vote would be closer?
I did. I really did, because there was so much talk about so many different plays through the course of the season. But I think it all came down to the fact that Phoenix was able to remain competitive, win their division with a whole new cast of players.
And without arguably their best in Amari Stoudemire, although Nash is the MVP, Amari had such an impact on that team last year. So Steve Nash comes up live with Dan and the guys in the studio at halftime. Here, San Antonio trails Dallas by 3. Duncan in the mix.
Duncan is looking to cook early. I mean, he knows he's got the center position under control, even though they have 3 different guys that throw at him. So he's being very aggressive offensively.
But this is where the mental fatigue comes into play.
What mental fatigue?
The quick turnaround, the long travel, jump ball forced by Manu Ginobili. The early start time. The fact that they had to spend so much effort dispatching the Sacramento Kings, which put up a real battle until the final game.
These are the playoffs, and you have these kinds of conditions. And if you're going to be champion again, you have to prevail. You can't have excuses, and I'm hearing excuses.
Big Van Exel slides in and steals the tip as Nowitzki hit it first. Van Exel playing the backup point essentially over Beno Udrih. Brent Barry misses inside. Nowitzki comes away with the rebound.
Physical confrontation at the hoop every single time for the Dallas Mavericks. Outstanding.
Terry along the baseline. Jock tries to keep it alive. Ginobili energized here in the last few minutes.
They need Nick Van Exel to get going here offensively. It's been a mighty struggle with the former star.
Big boy's ready today.
He is right at those guys, too.
He's not fooling around today. Tim Duncan is going to put him on his back and see if he can't make the difference.
He's not going to be able to do it by himself. I think that plays into Dallas's hands if Tim has to just do all the scoring. Finley, Ginobili, Van Exel, Parker, Barry, they all got to deliver.
Dirk from one of his hot spots. He takes and makes so many from there and misses.
To build the lead or to come off the mat, you need somebody to make the big play. That is what Duncan is doing right now. He's asking for the ball. Daniel.
Stackhouse started this break, finished by Terry. Credit Stack with the quick hands to knock it away and get it all started. Mavs still up by 3.
Jerry Stackhouse has been the difference in this game. Both ends of the court.
An early proclamation.
We can only go by what's happened.
Jock has 2 fouls.
Give him one more. Give him one more.
And give Duncan one more as well. You're good, Jones. You are good. 3 fouls on Sagana Jock. Tim Duncan is carrying the Spurs. A man who's back-to-back MVPs in 01 and 02. 3 times the MVP in the NBA Finals. 16 points. Half the Spurs total here early in the second. 2-0-3. The back-to-back MVP before Nash's run. And Duncan's at the line trying to complete a 3-point play. And he has played like an MVP in the first 12 minutes of this game, guys.
Tim Duncan is executing on the offensive end the finer points that allow you to get what you want. He's initiating his own move by faking passes. He's also executing plays where he fakes one and then does the same thing. That exhibits incredible dominance over your individual matchup.
Duncan is 4 of 7 from the free throw line. 1 point Dallas lead, even though they're not getting a lot of their starting guards. Stackhouse is giving them some offense. Robert Horry joined by Manu Ginobili, Nick Van Exel, Bruce Bowen, and Tim Duncan. Bring it up for San Antonio. Manu. Horry pulls it away.
That was a big rebound by Horry because Dampier did a great job of making a miss.
And Duncan gets the second try as they brought in Dampier with his 2 fouls. Tim Duncan, monster first half. 18 points for Duncan.
8 and a quarter, and that means you're going to have to get a response from Nowitzki and Stackhouse.
For 3, Stackhouse.
The Mavericks centers are not playing defense well enough before Duncan starts his move.
Nowitzki, Stackhouse, and Howardville have 30 of the Dallas 36.
Well, you have to give Duncan some credit. I mean, he has come with an offensive attitude today. He's been very aggressive.
Steve, I have no problem giving Tim Duncan credit.
Well, you're beating up,
never have.
but you're beating up Dampier and Benga and Jock.
Good hustle there. Spurs will have the ball, and here's Mark Jones.
Guys, during the last Dallas huddle, Tim Duncan was the focus of Avery Johnson's attention. He was telling the guys, we got to bring a double team, bring a little pressure when he puts it on the floor, and make his deep post-ups a lot tougher, especially on his catches. And he said to finish off the huddle, guys, I've never been in a playoff game where you win it all in the first half. We've got to keep grinding it. Back to you.
Mark, he's been in a lot of those playoff games with Tim Duncan as his teammate in San Antonio. Look at Duncan go keep this possession alive. Didn't hit the rim, 5 to shoot.
That was a pass to Tim Duncan.
Duncan off the glass. Rebound Nowitzki. Dirk has 9 points, 5 boards here in the first half.
Well, Dallas should know this is not going to come easy, this victory, as they got a mismatch, Dirk Nowitzki against Big Man Axel.
Just turn and shoot here.
He took it right to his sweet spot, right there on the elbow, and knocked it down over his former teammate. Van Exel played a year and a half with Dallas.
Our first question to Greg Popovich today was, how are you going to handle that phony interchange out in front, traveling violation? Easy play to call.
And Nowitzki's double helped force it on Van Exel.
Well, they switch it, and they shouldn't switch it.
Right.
Because Nowitzki can shoot over whoever the little guard is, and that was a concern. You got to make that guy stay with Nowitzki. If you have a bigger guy guarding him, he's got to fight through.
It was the same tactical mistake that the Lakers made against Phoenix. Steve Nash comes off these picks that really mean nothing 30 feet from the basket, and they switch, and then you have no chance with an untenable matchup.
Bowen with 2 fouls has Nowitzki, then Dirk is calling for it. Duncan came to help. Rebound by Finley. You know, Robert Horry's not getting a bunch of stats. He's doing a nice job every single possession.
See, they are looking for Duncan, and they're looking for him early. Dirk comes to double that time.
Dirk was angry by Duncan's arm in the face.
I like the closeout defense by Dallas.
Duncan again. 20 for Tim Duncan. 40 is his playoff career high, and he's got 20 in a quarter and a half. Terry
Gets his first drive in against a stacked defense.
But the good news for Dallas is that Duncan's having an incredible game, maybe record-setting game for him, and yet the Dallas playing.
You find a way to get the ball to him. He finds a way to make it happen. 2-point game.
And struggling they are, Steve. They've only got 3 points to Spurs off the bench. That was from Michael Finley.
All the Dallas bench points have been from Jerry Stackhouse. He has 9.
Bruce Bowen has yet to score. He's in foul trouble.
And here is Bowen, who had such good offense in games 5 and 6 against Sacramento. It's out of bounds, and it will be Dallas ball. Duncan has 20 in the half. The Spurs playoff record for points in a half, the great George Gervin. He had a 20-point quarter against Washington when the Spurs were in the 1978 playoffs against the then Bullets. There's Howard with the hoop. Gervin had 31 in the half, 46 in the game back in 1978 when the Spurs were in the Eastern Conference. Mark Oberding, Larry Keenan among the players on that team that lost to Washington in 6.
And if the San Antonio prevail, they're going to have to be able to get a hold of Josh Howard. Howard is the wild card block there.
Blocks Finley going to shoot a 3. Mavs try to extend to their biggest lead, although Duncan's been the star. It is Dallas on top by 4.
And the point guard matchup, Parker and Jason Terry here, has been a wash.
Terry struggling from the field. 3 of 11, but this possession kept alive. Didn't reset the clock. Bowen, Duncan, Finley.
Duncan is running the floor on every possible opportunity. Just the slightest hint that there might be a change of possession. He is beating everyone to the spot.
Well, they're going to gamble off but Dampier.
Yep.
And that's his first foray to the hoop.
Duncan 5 boards. Parker, a streak of lightning.
or he tripled.
Dampier the rebound.
See how quickly they're changing into the floor right now. This is not what San Antonio wants. You do not want to see a running, attacking Dallas Maverick team that's taking the ball to the rim. In past years, they ran for three-point field goals. Now they're running for two.
The development physically of this entire Maverick roster has been incredibly impressive, Steve. They're coming out. You look at what Jason Terry brings physically, and guys like Josh Howard and Marquise Daniels and Devin Harris.
Adrian Griffin at the line. Adrian Griffin had played 2 of his college years at Seton Hall for P.J. Carlissimo, the assistant coach for the San Antonio Spurs. Of course, P.J. took Seton Hall to the NCAA championship game in 1989. They lost to Michigan, but he coached Adrian Griffin for a couple of years, and Griffin then had to really fight his way, an undrafted player, played in the CBA, won the championship in the CBA for the Connecticut Pride. He was the MVP of the season and of the finals, and has been a couple of times with the Dallas Mavericks. Back on November 28th of this year, Doug Christie started the season as the guy playing this role, but Christie really didn't work out after starting 7 games. Griffin was signed 3 days after Christie was released, and the numbers aren't phenomenal, whether it's in the playoffs or the regular season, but he has brought a little defense, a little attitude, and the little things that Avery Johnson magnifies.
He's always one of those glue guys. Offensive foul, Tony Parker out of control in the Maverick defense. Devin Harris making his presence felt.
Now think about this. Jason Terry, Dirk Nowitzki are on the bench, and yet Dallas has enough confidence and enough depth to play Devin Harris, Marquise Daniels, and Griffin, and that says a lot about Avery Johnson and his confidence.
If you're Dallas, just keep running as hard and as fast and as long as you can. Will San Antonio be able to find something deep inside to match it?
Stackhouse, the offensive option on the floor, knocks it down. This is the biggest Dallas lead at 5, 45-40 with 3:40 to go. The Mavs shooting 46% from the field, muting the 20 by Duncan.
Now, the answer for San Antonio and White has to come at the offensive end. They've got to string Ginobili and Parker loose here in the closing moments of the quarter.
Parker off that nice high screen by Ori. Got just a little bit of daylight. That's all that the blur needs to get there.
But when someone comes like Robert Horry to set that screen, where is the rotation?
Devin Harris tries to use speed, draws the foul on Nazir Muhammad.
To the ball of the foot that allows you spring and resiliency in the arch.
See? He does play foot doctor on TV. I should have gone to him.
I am concerned about the inexplicable devolution of Manu Ginobili's game.
Devolution? What does that mean? He's falling apart?
This guy is one of the greatest players in the whole world. And he has got 4 points on 1-for-4 shooting.
He did have 27 in Game 5 in this building earlier this week.
That was
against
2 games
Sacramento.
ago.
I know. Parker got trapped. He gave up that dribble. That's where Nash always keeps that left-handed dribble alive. 6 to shoot for Tony. Got caught underneath the rim.
Yeah, Josh Howard was the guy that slapped that one back, and so they're using Dampier as a guy to divert the first shot, and then they're coming with help.
Stackhouse.
Stackhouse is acting like he is the greatest player in the world right now. And every shot he takes, he knows it's going down, and he's right.
Manu coming baseline. He'll get to the line and draw free throws. No, guys, I saw Tony Parker, and we have a wonderful truck with Ken Wolf, our producer, and Ken Dennis, our director. And those of you might be thinking that Ken Dennis, our director, is showing great personal restraint and not showing us Tony Parker and Tony Parker's friend, Eva Longoria, after he shot there. The Manu numbers, by the way. Home and road, Bill. He's been much better at home this year. Eva is not in the building today.
Why not?
She is at, I believe it's called the Almas. That's the Mexican version of the Academy Awards. So she is appearing there, probably watching at this point. Bill, will you be presenting at that award show tonight?
Later on.
I can only hope.
Yes, we can all only hope. Dirk back in with 11 and 5 boards. Bruce Bowen's going to come back in with his 2 fouls.
Yeah, what Dallas is trying to get is a little bit of separation here as they go into the halftime break. They're ahead by 5 now, possibly 4 when Ginobili gets finished with his free throws, and they've got scores out on the floor. Harris, Stackhouse, Nowitzki, Devin Harris, and Josh Howard.
I'm perplexed though by Manu Ginobili, who's not a role player. This guy is capable of being the lead player on the greatest of teams. And yet here he's had 0 impact, as he has a number of times during this playoff already.
Griffin rolls to the goal and got it to go. So Adrian Griffin, you ignore his offense usually, but that's what Memphis did. They just sent Pau Gasol off to help anybody else, and then Griffin hit some back-to-back hoops on him. So sleep on AG, and he'll make you pay. Parker.
1 and done. That's what the result for San Antonio right now. So they better go back to Tim Duncan. Duncan is back out on the floor, and you want to score.
All the loose balls going to Dallas right now.
Do you think that's San Antonio being tired on the quick turnaround?
Mentally tired.
No, I think that Dallas is the aggressor. They're making the plays. They're making it happen. And what San Antonio is going to have to do is they're going to have to respond. They're going to have to answer that.
San Antonio is going to need more production and time from Robert Horry.
The lob for Duncan, couldn't get it all the way up and in. Chance for Dallas to go 2 for 1 here at the back end of the half, and carried the basketball. Turned it over, Spurs ball.
The best thing about Dallas for this first half is that they have not had to go to Dirk Nowitzki to carry him. Stackhouse has done his job. Avery Johnson has punched all the right tickets today. Josh Howard has been fine. Jason Terry has negated the normal brilliance of Tony Parker, and the bench, led by Stackhouse by himself, has been dominant.
Ginobili galloping down the lane, got it to go. Manu has 8 for the game, 6 in the quarter. 2.5 seconds, the difference, game and shot clock. Spurs have a foul to give.
I don't think you want Manu Ginobili to give it, though. They're going to need him.
Not Bowen for sure, he has 2.
Well, just because you have a foul to give doesn't mean you have to give it.
There is no room for Nowitzki to operate, but he still knocks it down.
What patience. What deliberation.
5
what
seconds
talent.
left. They pick up full court. Parker beat Harris. Bowen's open in the corner. Parker missed the runner, and it is halftime. So the Dallas Mavericks, because he hits the threes, he slashes, he hits the offensive rebounding column, and he becomes a very tough cover and maybe a swing guy in the success for the Mavs in this series.
There's no question that he has great offensive versatility, and they don't run plays for him. So it's not like you can say, let's take Josh's play away. Blow and picks up a foul there against Howard.
Why would you ever make that kind of defensive play against Bruce Bowen on that opportunity?
Now let's give Bruce some credit here. He has diversified his offense. He used to be just a spot-up shooter, but now he'll take it, put it on the floor for a couple of dribbles, make a little jump shot, drive it across the middle. So maybe Howard was anticipating the shot going up.
I stand by my statement.
And I stand by NBAStore.com, gearing us up for these continuing playoffs. With caps, you'll find a wide selection of styles for all teams. Shop now at the NBA Store on NBAStore.com. Let's check out those caps. I keep reading about them here. Let's check them out. Oh, Ginobili took it away from Jop. Jump ball is called by Mark Wonderlick. So Ginobili has not had it going, has made 3 or 4 of those hustle plays to try to get extra possessions for the Spurs.
Well, you know, when you look at the scoreboard, it is a 7-point game. So San Antonio at home certainly has the ability to overcome that. They're trying to energize themselves in all the areas of the game.
Jop tipped it out of bounds. Should be San Antonio ball, and it is. Jop won the tip but could not control it. So a fresh clock for the Spurs. San Antonio won 63 games this year, a franchise best. They just were able to hold off Dallas at the end, and that's why this series is starting here in San Antonio. The Mavericks, if they look back, look at their losses to Golden State, 3 of them on the year, as part of the reason they couldn't close strong in April.
they both knew that it was going to come down to home court advantage, and the games that you expect to win, San Antonio won, and Dallas dropped them.
The Mavericks also with a terrific season, equaling their best with 60 wins. They didn't play for anything in that last game and rested Dirk Nowitzki, among other things. And we should just revisit it, the seeding, and there is talk that the seeding will change the process for the playoffs next year. But these are the two best teams in the Western Conference this year. But Dallas, because they're in the same division, and division champs get the automatic 2 and 3 seed, they slide down to the 4 spot. It is the first time since we went to this conference alignment in 70-71 that the two winningest teams in a conference have met in the second round of the playoffs. This really is historical stuff for the quality of teams in round 2.
Well, remember the champion Houston Rockets. They were down low as you could be with the Olajuwon and company, and they came back and won the championship. So seeds are important, but you've got to have the will and the players to get the job done.
Whoever wins this series will be the favorite in the Western Conference Finals, and they'll be the home team, because even though Phoenix is the 2 seed, they didn't have as many wins as the Mavs. Big pick by Jot, left Nowitzki free, missed it. Bowen hit the deck on that defensive trip, now has it on the offensive end.
Dallas's transition defense has been superb. They couldn't even, the Spurs couldn't even get an uncontested layup out of that turnover.
Tony Parker, his shooting from the outside has improved so much this year. That plus his as good as anyone in the league speed with the ball made Parker the 3rd best field goal shooter in the NBA this year. 55%. Haven't seen a point guard that high in 3 decades.
But he hasn't been able to create any separation between himself and Jason Terry.
He only has 1 layup hoop here in the game so far.
Jason Terry.
Now 2, Howard didn't get it off. Shot clock violation. Stackhouse coming back in.
Well, as important is your defensive energy is your offensive success, and of the 2 teams right now, the tougher shots are being taken by the guys in blue.
And after that mistake by Howard not taking the shot, there you see Del Harris, the loyal lieutenant for this Dallas era under Mark Cuban, seated to the left of Don Nelson, and now Avery Johnson. Avery, during that substitution, talked to Josh Howard, who made the mistake of not taking that shot. Griffin fouled Ginobili.
Ginobili doing the right thing here. Avery Johnson saying, don't foul him. He's doing grabbing the guy 30 feet away from the ball for, but Manu Ginobili is constantly in motion. The way he flails the arm to draw the attention of the referees when he's being held and grabbed, reminiscent of all the great offensive players.
14 to shoot for San Antonio. Parker. And Dallas will take a timeout this year.
Yeah, at the end of last season, the Spurs brought in assistant coach Chip Engelland specifically to work with Tony Parker as his personal shooting coach. He says that he and Chip have watched video of every shot, that's right, every shot that Tony with the ball now has taken this year, and that he also got him together with Grant Hill, who is also a former disciple of Chip Engelland. He says that he shows him pictures, trading card pictures of good shooters with good form, like Steve Nash, the MVP. Back to you guys.
Bruce Bowen knocks down that good-looking shot. The game is square at 54.
Everything running through Tim Duncan, who now is not shooting. He's drawing the defense. He's kicking it out. Parker, the beneficiary, as well as Bruce Bowen.
It's 8-2 out of the locker room here, Bill.
Bowen's first bucket of the afternoon, and that is much needed. A turnover, carelessness for Dallas.
Manu, no numbers. Secondary 3, not available. Spurs run half court. Eight to shoot for Ginobili. Got stuck in there. The big, long body of Jop in the way. Terry with Nowitzki and Stackhouse. Oh, the baseline left free. And Jerry Stackhouse, he had a dunk like that in Cameron Indoor Stadium when he was the Tar Heel against Duke. I remember a flying Stackhouse dunk. He didn't get up as high this time. There's a lot more games and age on that 11-year, 31-year-old body, but Still pretty from Staggs.
Sagana Diop working diligently to try to deny Duncan possession and turnover.
Diop's doing a good job. Terry, Stackhouse. They exchange. And JT knocks down three.
I concur that Diop is doing a much better job in this half. He's forgotten about the fact that he's got those 2 early fouls, just coming out and playing balls, and I'm coming to attack you, Timmy.
Well, they've had a tougher time getting Tim Duncan the ball. So the defense on the ball, the pressure to drop it inside has been much better.
Ginobili over the arm of a 7-footer jump.
They might want to tell the Dallas Mavericks that Monty Ginobili is left-handed and promises to be so throughout the rest of this day.
Duncan meets Terry, changes the shot. Ori, another block on Diop. And Sagana picks up the foul.
Tough play for Diop. He was in a great position. Ori made a great recovery to make the block, and he was just trying to hustle out of it and pick up his 3rd foul.
And he should not slow down the intensity or enthusiasm, industriousness he's bringing right now. Getting on the offensive glass, sure he gets roofed there, but keep coming. You're not going to play huge minutes. You got Dampier, you got Benga behind you. Lay it all out there.
Nesterovic in, Duncan out, and Dampier in, Diop out.
Halfway through this 3rd quarter, Game 2 is here in San Antonio on Tuesday. Game 3 doesn't come up till Saturday in Dallas. Ginobili airball.
But if you're Dallas at the offensive end, start moving the ball quicker. Try to get the ball in the air and pass and cut.
I think they need Nowitzki to get going offensively.
Howard misses. There's Dirk with the rebound. Just ran to a spot where he had space to shoot. Nowitzki has 15 on 6 of 13 shooting. Mavericks have led by as many as 8. Duncan on the bench. He's only scored 1 point since he ran out to the 20 points in the first 18 minutes of the game.
Always the question, can they sustain? Parker just hammered inside.
Dampier blocked him twice. Parker took a shot in the face. They have possession back. Ori fouled by Nowitzki.
Hard to imagine Tony Parker's not going to the free throw line.
He got both of his shots blocked. What do you mean? Hard to imagine. You got to get fouled to go to the free throw line.
Just to update you on the foul situation, that was 2 on Nowitzki. He, Howard, Griffin, a bunch of Mavs have 2. The only guy in real foul trouble is Sagana Diop, who's on the bench with 4 personal fouls. So Robert Ori comes to the line. If he plays the first 4 games in this series, barring injury, he'll pass our colleague Scottie Pippen for 2nd behind Kareem Abdul-Jabbar most playoff games played in NBA history. This is number 205 here this afternoon.
Ori is in search of that 7th ring, which would put him in a class all by himself.
There are a few Celtics that have more than 7.
Well, let him finish his sentence, Bill. Come on.
He stopped.
Go ahead, Steve. Finish your thought. It's unbelievable. God.
But no, you know what it is. It's known as a pause.
No, he doesn't know what that is.
That's the greatest thing about basketball. The only thing you have to wait for is the opening tip.
What Steve was going to say was that only Celtics have more championships than that. So he would be the 5th non-Celtic. Jason Terry right to the rack. Almost used Dampier as a ramp for an X-Games stunt to go up and get the hoop.
Which is not legal, by the way. You cannot propel yourself over a teammate.
Which is why I said almost. 63-58. Terry had a hand on Parker coming around. Here's that hoop a moment ago.
The crossover off the high screen. The old need of the stationary defender, always an effective ploy.
Well, if you're going to come to the rim, you may as well come knees out, elbows out, and give yourself a chance to draw the foul and get the bucket to go in. Parker misses the first.
Of course, over time, a lot because of Tim Duncan's inability at the line. The Spurs' Achilles heel has been free throw shooting. They did shoot it well in the last series, but they did rank 28th overall this season.
You know, it's kind of infectious with this team. When one misses, they all start missing. And then when the game is tight, there's a nervous attitude about going to the line.
Stackhouse guarded by Finley. Good job by Nesterovic tying up Dampier, and Ori comes back and gets another board. It's 7 for Roberts.
This is the total mismatch here. Parker can get whatever he wants.
And he'll choose the open jumper.
7 1/4 for Tony Parker, but that was the right decision. You got a big guy on you. He doesn't want to see you get to the rim. Take that shot.
The cutting Stackhouse is bumped on the way up by Nesterovic. Do you guys like it? We're essentially seeing a lot less of Rasho Nesterovic and Nazr Mohammed last 2 games of the Sacramento series and thus far here today. Do you think that's the best move for the Spurs down the road here?
Without question. Go with your skilled players. You need Rasho and Nazr against dominant centers. How many are there in the playoffs? There's Shaq.
And they fortunately won't see him until possibly the championship.
Well, Miami, they have their work cut out for them to get there.
Well, we have a second here before this next free throw. What do you guys think of that Miami-Jersey series?
Well, I think that the edge really goes to the Miami Heat. You know, because if Shaq can play at the level he played in the last game along with Dwayne Wade, they're playing against a team that has 3 sprinters. And if you can slow down New Jersey, as Indiana showed, you can have very good success.
Vince Carter and Maynard Kristich are the keys there. If they can come out and take the ball right at Shaq and Dwayne Wade, they have a chance.
That's the 2-3 series in the East. That will start tomorrow night over on TNT. Parker, Duncan tipped it. Back come the Mavericks again, looking to push. Three and a half left. Dallas has led for the majority of this game, but it's never been a big margin. Dampier will draw some free throws.
Clever little pass from Devin Harris. Harris has great ability to penetrate and find people, so they like to set Dampier up with that play.
As we learned from the Laker-Phoenix series, you're not going to win unless you run faster and harder than the other team, and unless you deny guard penetration. Right now, Jason Terry and Devin Harris, they're getting down that lane at will. Spurs have to tighten things up defensively if they want to have a chance to move on.
One more for Dampier, 59% shooter. Well, in addition to that Nets Heat game, Clippers-Suns starts tomorrow, game 1 of that series on TNT. Friday, we'll have game 3s in New Jersey and at Staples of Heat Nets, Suns, Clippers. What do you guys think of the other series out here in the West? Phoenix home court over the Clippers.
The Suns have found their game. The Clippers do not like to play that race up and down game, and with everything clicking right now, Steve Nash, the MVP, the home court, Barbosa, everything going well, the jumpers raining down, Boris Diaw. Phoenix Suns looking very strong now.
Mavs by 5, 3 minutes left here in this third quarter. Finley.
Well, remember, the newfound Clippers have some weapons of their own. The early offense of Sam Cassell, the steadiness of Elton Brand, and Chris Kaman in the middle, where Phoenix is the weakest.
Harris gets to the elbow, and Devin Harris, good pass last trip, good hoop there, important minutes, and he's going to have to play significant minutes in that backup point guard role.
Eric Dampier's hurt.
You're right, grabbing his hand there.
He got hurt on that last exchange.
Thanks for joining us. Guys, back to you.
High praise, a couple of championships here. Of course, went out as a great player and a world-class person should, as a champion here in this building in June of '03 when they beat the Nets for that second NBA title, and David Robinson was able to retire, much like Jerome Bettis did in the NFL, going out on top.
Retired on his own terms. This franchise is here in this city with this building, with this incredible following because of David Robinson.
Great lottery moments. They get Robinson, they get Duncan. They get lots of great wins. Dallas 68, San Antonio 65. Nesterovic and Duncan, the bigs, with Finley, Brent Barry, and Tony Parker. Let's see if Duncan tries to get back into that offensive flow. Double, looking for the open man. It becomes Tim. Rebound by Howard, who joins Adrian Griffin, Devin Harris, Jerry Stackhouse, and Eric Dampier on the floor for the Mavericks.
And it'll be important for Dallas to see if they can extend their lead in the final 2 minutes with Nowitzki sitting down.
Stackhouse wants it on Brent Barry, and they clear a side for him. Stack to the rack, fouled by Duncan.
Go back to Tim Duncan's baseline jumper. For a bank shot shooter, you do not like the flat shot along that baseline. Position yourself a little bit better to get the shot that you want.
Jerry Stackhouse comes to the line. I mentioned on that dunk a moment ago, he's not the same leaper he was. He missed the second half of last year with a right groin injury. Missed the first 26 games of this year with a sore right knee, but still gives this team a great outside-inside scoring, and his relationship with Avery Johnson that has really been so important this year as a close monitor of the pulse of the team has been very important in the growth of this Dallas group to their terrific season.
Well, you know, Stackhouse is a guy that was a starter for most of his career. To be willing to accept the sixth-man responsibility to do whatever it takes says a lot to the team and to the coach, Duncan.
Off the pick and roll with Parker. Let's see if that gets Tim Duncan going.
Left-handed throwdown, shades of Robert Horry from the finals a year ago. Game 5 at Detroit, the clincher for the Spurs.
Nowitzki the miss, rebounded by Griffin. They ended up losing Game 6 here in this building, but won Game 7 in one of the great scenes in the NBA. This building was just rocking 20 minutes before tip, and they're getting loud now. Oh, Nowitzki on the spin cycle, second possession in a row. He draws a foul.
And this is where Dallas has an edge, because with Stackhouse, with Nowitzki, they've got two guys who can get their own shot at will. San Antonio, other than Duncan, who's not rolling right now, they don't have that.
Oh, miss. That's a couple for the man who was fourth in the league in free throw shooting this year.
Left-handed delivery through two giant obstacles.
Looks like he has no trouble getting his own shot. He just hasn't taken enough shots here in the second half. They're going to have to start force-feeding the center position in order to get the defense to react, to get easier shots for Finley, Parker, and Bowen.
But when they do that, it takes everybody else out of what they're trying to get going.
Duncan works on Dampier.
Oh, good.
And the beauty of what we're seeing with these two guys helping carry their team in key stretches, they are 6'11" and 7-foot players that have changed the mindset of playing basketball. Not just back to the basket in the lane only. They extend the floor, tough to guard. Stackhouse. Oh, beautiful move. Couldn't finish. The rebound by Nowitzki. I think the last 2 minutes are left-hand scores only allowed. Dallas +3, 2 seconds the difference. David shot clock.
Tim Duncan is playing right now like Oscar Robertson.
Stackhouse grabbed his jersey.
Got caught.
Foul call.
Got caught trying to get by.
Why would you ever do that?
Well, he was trying to get by, and Duncan was in his way, and he got a handful of jerseys. Now, you're not going to sit here and say you never got a handful of jerseys.
Why would you ever consciously grab somebody's jersey and pull it?
Oh,
I mean, this is not Kevin Coonert trying to slow down Kermit Washington in transition
defense. Not an answer. You've never had a handful of somebody's jersey.
I can't remember back that far, Steve.
Duncan at the line. Of course, his playoff numbers ahead of his career stats on average. But in that first series, his average was 18.3. Very close to his regular season average, but the second lowest scoring series in Tim Duncan's playoff career, a career that is now into game 112 and spans 8 seasons and 2 championships.
But he knows they're going to need his scoring in this game, and that has been his attitude from the outset, to go get it and put some pressure on the defense of the Dallas Mavericks, try to get those those centers in foul trouble. They're shot blockers. They disrupt things at the other end of the floor.
Duncan has scored the last 6. 1-point game, final 10 seconds. The backup point guard, Harris, will bring it up, and you got to go quick. Looking over to Avery for an answer. Trying to get Nowitzki, who will rise up over Bowen. Good defense by Bruce Bowen, who started it early.
Whether they'll be able to come up with the competitive greatness in the fourth quarter to get one on the road at the home of the world champions, that remains to be seen.
It begins with Duncan, doubled by Marquise Daniels. Pitch out to Finley for three. The leading three-point shooter in Mavericks playoff history misses one there. Kevin Harris starts with Jerry Stackhouse, Marquise Daniels, Dirk Nowitzki, and Eric Dampier.
Bowen without the ball on Dirk Nowitzki. Beautiful to watch.
Not sure what he wanted to do with the ball. He ends up airmailing it over the top of the San Antonio bench. Daniels can be a very, very important player, but he's got to be more decisive.
And you see that with Dirk. We talk about Dirk's leadership. He was fiery, and at Daniels, you cannot blow away a possession in what's going to be a tight couple of possession game. Manu draws the foul.
Dirk did that a year ago in the Phoenix series when game one, when Amari Stoudemire torched Eric Dampier 40-0. And Dirk called out Eric Dampier and said, "What's up with this?" Eric Dampier responded magically the next game. Dallas was able to win that game and ultimately extend that series before finally falling.
How important is the game? Avery Johnson took Daniels out. That's about 30 seconds to play, and that's all I want to see out of you for a while.
You know, Marquise Daniels, good player. He didn't play the last game. He got a bad hamstring.
Duncan got it to go.
Your hamstring has nothing to do with your brain.
First Spurs lead since early in the second quarter. To their feet at the AT&T Center. This is where their defense is usually very good. Carried the ball, turned it over, back to the Spurs.
Second one of those as the crowd rises, thinking that this is the time when the Spurs are going to get some separation on the scoreboard.
Get the ball to Tim Duncan early in the shot clock.
Dampier fronting Duncan.
Now they're waiting too long. Offensive foul, Duncan holding off Eric Dampier.
I don't think anybody in America gets more excited by an offensive foul. You love offensive fouls. Here's the hook with the arm.
Fighting for position in this situation, work him up the lane. Don't stand there and let him grab you. Duncan is the finesse player of the two.
Just by Dampier's body motion, it made it obvious to get a call, although wasn't it really a hook. Stackhouse fakes the three, took a tough two. Write it down for Stackhouse. Jerry Stackhouse off the bench, leading the Mavericks in scoring. He has 20 of the 74.
Stackhouse just jumping into spots. Arguably a traveling violation there. Spurs are in trouble now. They're having difficulty getting into an offensive scheme.
Duncan, Howard came down, foul.
The Spurs have been in these games since Tim Duncan showed up on the doorstep with the draft lottery. The Mavericks, this is their time. If they're ever going to get over that hump right now, can Stackhouse and Nowitzki breathe life into this team to get it done?
Well, Van Exel hasn't made a shot since the second quarter of the first game of the Sacramento series. He picks a good time to get his old team down one. Terry right at Duncan. Foul on Tim.
You know, Duncan is
It's hard to see how Tim can argue this.
No, what he's upset about is he's going to get pushed into Jason Terry. Watch Dampier from the rear. So he's saying, I got fouled before the foul.
Here comes Terry to the line. He'll get one more. Jason Terry was in Atlanta for 5 years, second year in Dallas, and he and Eric Dampier made playoff debuts last year. And Jason was telling us this morning that going through that experience of the playoffs together for the first time has us much better prepared for what we're going to face like right now. tight game on the road, and you know grabbing one here would be huge.
And Dirk Nowitzki also called out Jason Terry in that final game when he didn't guard Steve Nash in transition.
Duncan just at the edge of his range. Horry kept the possession alive just off the bench. So many little things besides the big shots in the playoffs.
Neither team defending the high screen and roll effectively.
Nowitzki intercepts the pass intended for Horry, comes all the way and throws it down with two hands as Horry flies by to try to defend him.
Dirk was beating that ball with both hands, trying to make sure he got down there okay. Horry's going to be all right. He went right into that row of camera guys and people sitting right in that first row.
How can you say he's all right? He's calling for the towel.
He's calling for the towel on the throwdown. As he went out there, he stepped on a drink that was spilled as he came tumbling in, so he wanted to wipe the bottom of his sneakers.
How about the fact that nobody could catch Dirk Nowitzki from behind with the dribble? That's athleticism and talent.
At 7 feet. Handoff to Ginobili. That is the kind of Manu Ginobili hoop that you see in December and January when you watch the Spurs. And he needs that energy when the shots are tougher to make. Parker waiting to come in.
Well, Manu Ginobili wisely has to stop when he comes off of that screen and make the simple play.
Foul on Bruce Bowen. It'll be his fourth. Each team has a couple of team fouls in this fourth quarter where every whistle, every pass, every possession will be hotly contested.
Down the stretch and Howard to score the ball.
The Gatorade cooler talk. Jerry Stackhouse 8 for 15 shooting. Getting to the free throw line 27 minutes. The rest of the Mavs bench just 4 points. The physical prowess of Jerry Stackhouse unmatchable by anyone that Greg Popovich can bring for San Antonio.
Nowitzki, Bowen gave him no air space, thus an air ball. Bowen has 4 personal fouls. Joff is on the floor for Dallas, watching Duncan has 4 for the Mavs.
Stackhouse playing some defense of his own.
On the switch, Ginobili over Joff to 2.
When Dallas has lost to San Antonio, it's been because of the big three, Duncan, Ginobili, and Parker. So Parker is going to get back out on the floor soon to replace Van Exel. Stackhouse.
Catch and fling. Rebound, Duncan.
Duncan has dominated throughout this game. Right now, he's doing it with leadership, rebounding. That's got to be a foul on Tim Duncan, who just bumped Dirk Nowitzki's defensive effort off the mark.
Horry missed the 3. Back comes Jason Terry as we get towards 7 minutes in regulation. Terry pulls up. Nice touch over Duncan. It was a slow start for Jason Terry. Hit only 2 of his first 9 field goals in this one. He's come back with 4 of his last 7. Tony Parker's going to check in next dead ball.
He's got a huge quickness advantage over Nick Van Exel. Van Exel is on the team because he can make big shots in big moments. Duncan.
Got Job to commit. And a chance for another 3-point play. Take Tim Duncan over 30 points.
How do you defend the master? The pump fake, the up and under, a la Hakeem Olajuwon, Kevin McHale, the exquisite footwork, Tony Parker, ecstatic knowing he's getting back in there to join this fray.
What you've got to do is make it difficult for Duncan to get his hands on the ball today. His attitude is, I'm coming at you. He started early in the ball game. He has not relented short with that free throw.
Horry fouled.
Keep going.
Bruce or it's Horry? Horry on Nowitzki. You give it to Horry. Robert has picked up 3.
But that's a big break for Bruce Bowen, who needs to stay in this game. And Bowen also has to make some offensive contributions for San Antonio.
Dampier back in, Jop goes down as they continue the tag team Duncan, which has it's had moments of effectiveness, but Duncan has been the player in the middle.
Dampier comes back in, Steve, with 2 personal fouls. Duncan has missed 5 free throws tonight. Good job by Parker, and a holding foul on Terry. Tim Duncan's trying to get a clear path foul out of it. And now Mark Wunderlich's going to ask Greg Willard, who says, nope, no clear path foul. Clear path meaning no defender between the man with the ball and the basket. So it's sideline out of bounds for the Spurs.
So pose the question, Bill, why would you ever do a thing like that? To keep him from getting a fast break, he had a handful of his shorts.
I don't believe in flagrant fouls. I don't believe in fouls from behind. I don't believe in complaining to the officials, and I certainly don't believe in grabbing jerseys.
Parker stripped away by Terry and out of bounds. Never mind a player's shorts when he's going up for a rebound. See Reggie Evans from earlier in the playoffs.
I can't believe you're going there.
But a great example of how in a bunker coaches are. We were talking to Greg Popovich about that before the game. He never saw the play. And it's been repeated everywhere. Stackhouse around Bowen, who's got in the way.
What great defense, Bruce Bowen. Go for the stab and have your teammates come.
Nowitzki throws Ginobili away. Missed the shot. Rebound Ori.
The referees are not calling anything. They want a timeout right now, Greg Popovich. The crowd is lathered up. Milk the crowd if you're San Antonio and Greg Popovich right now, and warn your team that nothing is going to get called.
Mavericks have 4 fouls. Spurs 3 in this half. Manu, little push, a lot of dive. No foul.
He only missed 2 games. This is the most decorated basketball player in the modern era of the NBA.
10 to shoot.
What is the modern era again?
Dampier blocks Duncan.
Since Michael Jordan retired.
Eric Dampier has 5 blocks after averaging 2.5 per game in the sweep of Memphis in round 1. Nowitzki doubled, who's free. It was deflected. Great recovery. Look at Ori, the veteran of 205 playoff games, diving on the floor.
But the fact that Eric Dampier just roofed Tim Duncan's jump hook head to head, that is hard to do.
Well, it's hard to do, but it means nothing. Because Duncan then gives him a pump fake and draws a foul on the next play. I mean, Dampier's doing what he has to do to contest a great offensive afternoon by Tim Duncan. 11 on the clock.
Terry into Dampier, couldn't catch. Duncan feeds it to Parker.
Push the ball. If you're Tony Parker, you got numbers. Dampier's loading it back.
Ori trailing. He breaks plays so well so often and has that trailing 3 always available. Parker at 2. Been a long time since the Spurs were up by 4. Their biggest lead of the day is 5. Dallas out of sync offensively. San Antonio's vice tight on D. Stackhouse breaks it. He has 22 to lead the Mavericks.
Every time Dallas runs pick and roll, the big men for San Antonio, they're hanging back too deep. You've got to step out and at least make them take a step back as the offensive attack on the curl.
Parker used Duncan, trying to drop it back to him. Ginobili cleans it up. Duncan keeps it alive. Ginobili fouled by Dampier.
Tough break for Dampier. That ball was volleyball back and forth over his head. Went to reach and ended up getting Ginobili, and he's going to go to the line.
Mark Cuban beside himself, perplexed as to what is going down here. But if you give up a runner on one side and an offensive rebound on the other, how do you expect to win?
Mavericks are over the limit. Ginobili will get one more. Spurs have committed 3 team fouls. The foul on Dampier was his 3rd.
Well, they've got a ton of time left. They're only down 3 in the ball game, and what they've got to do is get more fluid at the offensive end. Their last 3 possessions, they have been tight. Ginobili, 1 of 2.
Stick with the pick and roll if you're Dallas. That's been successful because you get wide open with the ball handler.
Dampier trying to screen Ginobili. Offensive foul called by Danny Crawford on Jerry Stackhouse.
The initial play was wide open for Stackhouse. He tried for more, got greedy. The left hand pushing Ginobili to the floor. Easy play to call.
Dallas has turned it over 5 times in this quarter, guys. They only turned it over 7 times in the first 3.
Well, you know Avery Johnson is losing his mind about those turnovers. They get it back.
San Antonio gives them one good quick hands by Terry. Stackhouse really wants to go at Ori here. Pulls up and takes it. Makes it again. Jerry Stackhouse has 24. 29 was his high all season.
That is in the face of one of the game's greatest defensive forces, Robert Horry. I like the fact that Stackhouse never argued with the offensive foul call.
Duncan a great deep position. Bowen a triple. Dallas can retake the lead. They push. Howard for the foul.
A foul.
San Antonio wanted to travel.
Yeah, you know, Ginobili wanted to travel, but he reached first. 14th foul.
Game 2 is Tuesday. Then the scene shifts back up through Austin and Waco to Dallas for games 3 and 4 on Saturday and Monday, 8 days from now. Howard at Horry, over Horry. Kept the possession alive and now draws the foul that will put the Spurs over the limit.
We hadn't heard from Howard for a while, and he was trying to make it happen on his own. Took a tough shot, but he's quick to recover. Now he has a chance to give Dallas the lead with a pair of free throws.
Josh Howard plays extremely well against the San Antonio Spurs. He missed one of the 4 games. Spurs lost that game. The other 3 games, he never scored under his season average of 15, including the big one at the very end. We had 22 and 10 in the final meeting, April 7th, right here where Dallas won in the home of the world champions.
There's the mini bracket in the West. Phoenix and the Clippers will start their best-of-7 conference semifinal tomorrow night. The San Antonio-Dallas series, just the 15th series, and there have been 601 in NBA history that see 2 60-win teams meeting. So one of every 40 series in the history of the playoffs has been this kind of regular season quality on the line in the postseason. Duncan on Dampier with 10 to shoot.
Good defense, Dampier.
Parker from the outside. The Mavericks defense has been better. All square at 84 as we hit the 3-minute mark. Same 2-man game. Terry gets all the way in. Duncan there to knock it down. Mavericks ball out of bounds. 14 to shoot. And we have a timeout. Detroit and Cleveland open their series next on ABC. You'd be very lucky if it's as good as this one has been.
It was Nowitzki delivering the ball. Let's see if they find a way to get him the ball.
Stackhouse has been the best player, though, Steve. Continue to milk him.
Tried the reverse. Dampier inside. Back to Stack. Rebound by Tony Parker. San Antonio has missed its last 5 shots. No teams had a double-digit lead at any point in this very tight opening round game. Each team has 3 timeouts, and both are over the limit. Duncan for the lead.
Robert Horry
on Nowitzki. And we've seen very little of that in the game. Parker, Bowen from the office, a corner 3. His percentage is so much drastically better from the corner taking 3. Spurs retake the lead. Now he guards Nowitzki with Ginobili's help, and Ginobili comes away with the steal. Nowitzki's hustle prevents the easy layup.
Josh Howard, what a remarkable stab at that ball, forcing the double clutch.
Final 100 seconds. Terry the tape. Rebound by Duncan. Spurs keep pushing. Now Parker lets his teammates join him.
Intangibles. Robert Horry's offensive rebound. Josh Howard's defensive effort in transition, forcing them to Ginobili miss.
Duncan from up top. 5 to shoot. Parker gets in and takes it. Missed it badly. Rebound Nowitzki. Dallas desperate for a hoop here.
Again, they got to find Dirk Nowitzki. You know, Stackhouse is taking a shot, Terry's taking a shot, but this guy is the guy that's going to make the play for him.
Bowen slaps at him. Dirk with Horry helping. Couldn't finish. Duncan comes over to get another rebound. San Antonio has 3 timeouts. They're going to get across midcourt and take one here with 50 seconds remaining. Ginobili with 10 on the clock. Duncan the screen. Ginobili goes left to the top. Rebound by Dampier. And tied up And foul on Ginobili. So Ginobili, who made the good play on one end, did that earlier to force a jump ball with Jop. This time a foul, and will give Dallas a chance to make free throws without the clock moving, but it'll be Dampier at the line.
What is Manu Ginobili thinking other than Eric Dampier can't make these 2 free throws?
Dampier 1 of 2 today, 11 of 13 from the line in the playoffs, 60% on the season.
He needs 1.
The 2 biggest free throws of Eric Dampier's life.
Right now?
Right now. And he just missed the first one.
Guarding outside the three-point arc, anticipating a miss. Dampier can't break the plane of the line until the ball gets to the ring.
Got it.
Made it.
He does what he normally does, which is 1 of 2, and it's a 2-point game.
Jason Terry defends Tony Parker.
For Dallas, it's controlling this combination, Parker and Duncan, as they try to look for Duncan against the clock.
Off the Ginobili move, tied up, takes it in the lane, rebound Nowitzki. Shot clock is off, Mavericks take timeout. Howard to inbound, it's Jason Terry. The Mavs down by 2, game on the line, Nowitzki has it. Over Bowen, Ginobili knocked it away. Stackhouse got it. He went to the line. Got to get a shot off. 3 for the win. No! Spurs win! Spurs win game 1. He was coming back to the line for a 3.